All right, guys. So, welcome. It's Gin and Sofa. I know it looks weird, but it's a little adjustment. We're doing a little remote recording now.
Yeah, and again, I don't think we've really got into that.
Yeah. So like, have you noticed that Mike here? You've moved away. It's been
I
a bit now.
I did. Yeah, we had Dewey on one of the episodes. We talked about Charleston. I've not been on the episodes in a hot
He
minute.
just disappeared.
I yeah,
But
and
I was gonna say, so so with you moving away, and then I guess just sometimes life happens, and like people are a lot really busy. You're in Charleston. Chris Yaga moved to Richmond, which
right.
was a big one. Mike Duhamel, He's been moved up to Northern Virginia. So we're all in different spots, and so I guess we're gonna try and since we started losing episodes recorded, it's just been like hard to get like shit done. So we're gonna try and
Yeah,
do some remote ones. And an idea I've had for a while is to go through every James Bond movie.
and I always
And
reference this. Kind of the early day recordings, the lost recordings, if you will. But
yeah,
you and I did a James Bond episode, like early before we even were Gin Sofa. We were trying out the old, how would a podcast work? And we
yeah,
sat down and we talked about shit. What was the last movie called? No Time to Die.
yeah. I think it just came out, and we decided to.
Yeah, and we had talked about it. We had a lot of fun, and again, it's the lost episodes.
Mm,
Just due to sound quality, and maybe we'll find the recording, and we'll post it at some point in time on Patreon for the one Patreon fan.
the one Patreon, yeah.
Yeah, um, but
Hey, one's better than zero, I guess, right? But so yeah, there was we've always liked Bond. I think we talk about
right,
it every now and then. James Bond, it's like it's a favorite of mine.
yeah.
And I think that it's always been something I want to do, and it's a big project. It's 25 movies, but I felt like if we just started doing it and trickle it in throughout the year, maybe 2 years. I don't know.
I say this pretty much every episode that I'm on, but I'm so appreciative. I'm so honored that you would pick me to, usually I do a lot of 90s stuff. I know through the years, you and I have talked about James Bond a lot,
Whoa.
but, in truth, I know that has always been like something that you have always loved. And I would say I'm probably more of I would say slightly above casual fan because I too have seen every movie.
Okay, I was gonna ask that. I was like,
Yeah,
casual as have you seen all the movies?
I
Because some
I
people are
saw.
casual and they skip periods, and it's okay because sometimes it's like it's hard to watch 25 fucking movies. But you
Well,
know what I
and
mean?
I do have the Navy to thank for that. I was on deployment. It was shit 12 years ago, but I sat down and I watched every movie at the time, which
Yeah.
was 22 of them. But I was able to sit down and watch the ones. But what was your first like introduction to Bond?
My first introduction, honestly, it was I think I want to say like GoldenEye, that
The
era.
movie or the video game?
If I remember, it's tough, it's cloudy, but I want to say probably the video game.
See, and that's
Uh,
exactly what it was for me. It
and
was
then like there was like the World's Not Enough video game came out, or Tomorrow Never Dies video game came out also
right.
afterward, which was not as good, but like
No,
everyone played GoldenEye. And then like I think what happened is like that came out, and then the other movies came out in theaters. So like once you get exposure to like what GoldenEye is about, you're like, oh, it's James Bond,
right.
and then you see the movies coming out, and then you go watch them, and then like I remember. I want to say the first one I saw in theaters, unfortunately, well, I mean, we'll get down to it when it gets here. We'll get to it when it gets here, but it was Die Another Day. That's the first one I saw in theaters.
You know what mine was?
What was-
Quantum of Solace.
Quantum was your first one, man.
And in theaters. You know, because
Yeah. Also, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we will, obviously there's 25 films, and we'll get to it. I don't remember seeing GoldenEye, because GoldenEye, the video game, was my first exposure, and I don't remember seeing the film until maybe couple years after it, and the film was okay, and I caught a couple of the Pierce Brosnan, and and we'll just put out to the fans. I'm not a big fan of Pierce Brosnan, James Bond. And I'm trying to look at the series. I'm biased. I just hate those movies so much. But for me, it was Casino Royale was kind of the revival, and kind of like, obviously I was 19, 20 when it came out, and I saw it when I was in college. They were airing it on their movie channel when I was in college. But Casino Royale was kind of that movie that brought me in the series. And then from there, like I said, when I went back and I watched all these movies, it was because I was so vested in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, and I wanted to see for myself this lineage of movies, and
Yeah.
And we've talked about it. I have what I think is like my bonds, and maybe it's just the product of my time. I feel like Daniel Craig is my Bond, but obviously that's.
I think that's just a whenever you're like that age group growing up, that becomes like your Bond.
But it's like movies, it's like music, it's like video games. When you're coming of age, whatever is available at the time is probably your video game or movie or music.
Yeah, I think I do remember after I discovered GoldenEye and Die Another Day came out, and there was a big gap. We'll get to that when that day comes, right?
Right.
There was a gap. I do remember movie scene, video update, movie scene, whatever. The rental place. You could go on Tuesdays and you get like 10 movies, like $1 a piece or some shit, right? And I would get a lot of the old movies and rent them then, and that's when I saw a lot of like You Only Live Twice or whatever with Roger Moore, whatever was I could find,
Right.
And then so I think I started like that's when I started like really getting into it, and then by time Casino came out, I was like ready to like I was ready for the ride, like I was ready like for the reboot. But yeah, so like I want to just say that this may look different than normal Gin and Sofa. There's just me and Mike today. Again, availability, things like that. I don't know how raunchy or goofy this may get. It might be a little serious because it's like a review. I don't know. So I'm hope we don't turn anybody off because it's more like a actual, like kind of like, like feel to it. Retrospective.
I hope if anything, we turn them on.
Oh, well, yes. I like to be like James Bond and just turn you on. But by looking at you.
We'll get into Sean Connery, but
so the remote recording, things like that. We're gonna do so what I pictured this being is a massive retrospective of the franchise. And with that, we're gonna go every movie. Within every movie, I want to rank the Bond girls. And you could take it as you want. You could take it as attractiveness. You could take it as like useful to the movie plot, as or whatever you want to say, right?
Sure.
Maybe possibly the villain. Rank the villains.
What do you mean maybe? I mean,
No, we will. I'm just saying this. I'm just saying the girls, the vehicles, the women. No, I said the women twice. The villains, the drinks possibly that are introduced in these movies, if there's any. Anything else you want to rank? possibly the intro music.
Or lack thereof, you know?
Yeah. I want to like kind of have a fucking massive rankings,
And
like of this or that and of every movie.
And I'm sure we'll kind of touch on it later, but so our plan was to kind of rank all the minor stuff, you know, together, you and I, and then you and I are going to have separate movie lists, correct?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, and we're gonna kind of mini rank. So basically, I'd say like we'll have them all, but I would say you rank, you know, your Connery. We'll kind of have a recap at the end of the Connery era and the
Right.
the more and the Lazenby era
Yeah.
and the more era, you know, like and rank them out, and then we can add the whole big rank, and it could be your rank and my rank. Yeah, I got your list, my list. Yeah,
Sounds
definitely.
great.
So that's pretty much the intro here. I want to just go ahead and get into it. We got a drink we made for Dr. No. So that's going to be coming up in a bit. Mike, you want to go ahead and take a drink of this, whatever you want to call it? Yeah. Oh, you're going to pour the drink.
Yeah,
the beer in there,
I
right?
believe it's
Okay.
called the Dr. No.
It's called Dr. No. Yeah. I have the book on hand.
And
On hand.
So
Shaken.
So I don't know if this is me being silly, but when you sent me the recipe, right? And I was reading through and I'm like, okay, what ingredients do I have to get? And I got to something that said Weiss beer. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? You know, so I had...
Weiss beer, yeah.
So, you know, and like beer spelled, you know, B-I-E-R, you know, and it's all one word. I was like, is this some weird, you know, like liqueur or something I've never heard of? And then so I look it up and like, it's just like how to make a German style beer, you know? I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
So,
it's just a German beer, yeah.
Yeah, so
what do you got there?
So I went with a Hefeweizen, and this is Yazoo. I think I just picked it because, you know, it looked...
There's a half-naked lady.
Oh, I thought that was a dude. Yeah, cool.
It might be a dude.
No, I think it's a lady. Okay, so,
is it named after the 80s band, Yazoo? Yaz, if you will?
I didn't know there was an 80s band named Yazoo.
Well, you should look them up. Yeah, go ahead.
I will.
They're featured in Can't Hardly Wait, which came out in 1998. Which makes no sense, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, yeah, so go ahead, pour the beer in there.
And I poured the beer. I guess I could have done it on camera, but that's okay.
You could have, but it's okay.
It's okay. I have more, so I'll probably...
Yeah, so I got bad news about the beer, though. I didn't have any beer. I went looking for beer, so I used ginger beer.
Okay, so
mine's going to taste way different, I think.
Well,
But I poured it in there, and here's what mine looks like.
Okay, so...
Anyway,
and this is
yeah, the same kind of color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have the bottle of whiskey or no?
I don't have it up here, but so what I use is
it does just yeah. It's not bad.
Okay, so
yeah, you go ahead.
Let's get into the whiskey. I'll say what whiskey I use. You say what whiskey you use, and then we'll talk about our first impression. But I use Whistle Pig and Piggyback.
Okay.
So that is Whistle Pig's kind of entry level. I always keep that on hand whenever I want to have more than maybe one or two cocktail. Also, I think you know this about me, but I don't know. I think I'm kind of, especially like when it comes to like mixers and stuff, I am definitely like I'd say a pretty minimalistic drinker. I like my whiskey neat. I don't put anything in there, you know, and that's usually, you know, when people come over, they're like, what do you have to drink? And I'm like, I got beer, I got, you know, whiskey, you know, and then I usually keep gin for obvious reasons, but, you know, and they'll be like...
research.
Yeah, you know, and they'll be like, but you got any mixers? And, you know, I'm like, what's a mixer? You know, like...
Yeah, right.
I got water.
I'm not a big whiskey guy.
Yeah.
But I was at Copper Fox with Chris yesterday.
Okay.
And I didn't think about it. I don't know why. They have pretty good drinks there. They have a full bar now, but like I didn't think about it, but I should have bought some rye whiskey there. And then so again, I went with Wiggle Whiskey.
Okay.
It's from Pittsburgh. We've had them on here before.
Okay.
They make gin, they make vodka. But their bread and butter is whiskey.
Now, did you go with a bourbon or?
I went with the bourbon because that's all I had.
Sure.
So the funny thing is, I had that or I had Fighting Cock bourbon that we had before.
Yeah, that was terrible. You would not have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I think I'll go with at least the better quality bourbon.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of like noticing a trend here. I got bourbon and I use ginger beer instead of regular beer, so mine is probably way sweeter than yours. You know what I mean? Like, because bourbon is inherently sweeter than just whiskey.
Well, and so when you sent me the recipe for this, I was pretty excited because it's specifically called out rye, and when we talk about like whiskey and stuff, like rye is my go-to, and I know it's kind of an acquired taste because it's a little more earthy.
Yeah, I liked Bullet. I used to drink Bullet rye. It's not bad.
It's okay.
It's decent.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, if I was...
Say what you want to say.
If I was out, drinking at a fine establishment and they had Bullet, like, yeah, I'd ask for a pour if that was all they had.
But I guess I don't mind rye. I think it's... I'm not a big whiskey guy. So.
All right, so
but that's what I use for my... Yeah, go ahead.
First impression on this, it's good. It's a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Like you said, yours was sweet, so I'm really interested to see like how sweet yours is compared to mine. But like mine's pretty sweet.
I guess that is one downside of remote recording is that I can't just give you my glass real quick and say like, look how mine is, and then you give me.
We're remote recording. I didn't even know.
Yeah, you didn't notice, but yeah, so it's sweet. I think it's good too. I think it is a little sweet, but it's definitely like I think it's definitely drinkable, and I think that's like a thing that's like a concern ordering whiskey drinks. Yeah. It might be hard on the palate sometimes. Yeah. So when it's usually like easily to drink, you're like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, like
I don't know if I'd have a lot of them because my ass would regret it in the morning.
See, you say your ass, I say my head. But
yeah, hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to stay away, especially like to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or you could, kind of hop in and say how you feel. I feel like this would be a really, 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 really good like after dinner drink.
Okay.
Just
I think this would be a good a good summer drink. I was thinking.
Well, I'm just thinking, like it is kind of filling, but it's also it's very sweet. And I like I would probably not now. I made 4, but I would probably
4.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna drink all 4 while we're recording. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. But or at least I quoted the recipe, whatever. If that gets me 4, I don't know. But generally when I'm drinking, maybe more like I don't know if you and I were like out. I don't know that I'd order more than 2. And not even because I don't like it, just because I know that, I've done...
You're thinking ahead.
Yeah, I've done something like this before, and when you start getting, these really sweet drinks, and you start getting 3, 4, 5 of them, it gets a little...
It kind of reminds me of, like, cider. Like, if you ever drink cider, and you're like, this is really good, next thing you're like, oh my god, I drink like 100 grams of sugar, my head's gonna kill me. You wake up the next morning.
I'm gonna step away from the camera. I'm still listening, Zach.
He's gone. We lost him.
No, I've got a dog whining to come in, so...
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you, I sent you a picture of the book, right, of the recipe, but did you read the description at all?
No,
No,
I just looked at the ingredients.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, like, I thought the one thing I picked out was like, it talks about the movie and it talks about Crab Key and all the stuff about the missiles. He's trying to like whatever the whole plot, right? But then it goes to he's got an intelligent, complex character. It's reflected in the challenging flavors and interesting ingredients of the drink. So, like Doctor No, it's not to be trifled with. Is what they give.
So
that's how they kind of describe the drink.
And so when I was putting this together, I kind of thought about it. And
of course, they use a metal cup
yeah,
for his hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were thinking about it.
And
so.
we'll get into the movie Doctor No because that's
in a minute. In a minute.
In a minute. But I assume that the reason why they went with some of these profiles is because the villain, Dr. No, was, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was half German, half Asian?
Yeah, I think it was Chinese. Yeah. Half German, half Chinese.
So I assume that's why they had me using a German beer. And that's...
Yeah.
And that's why they had, like the tea in there.
Yeah. That's also that makes sense.
That's where my mind went because and
I can go down that road too.
So,
but
you want to kind of talk about how you made it and how I made it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I made the syrup. I don't know how is it Rooibos.
Rooibos
tea.
I just say Rooibos.
Rooibos tea. The peppercorns, a little bit of honey, and the sugar. I did not have star anise, and I did not have a cinnamon stick.
Okay.
So I just I boiled it all. Once it was syrupy, I sprinkled a little bit of cinnamon in it afterwards.
Okay.
And then that was how I made the syrup. And I used ginger beer instead of German beer. So mistake number 1, I used bourbon instead of rye.
Okay.
Mistake number 2, lemon juice, and I think everything else went like. Oh, I also used Angostura bitters.
Okay.
Aromatic bitters. I looked up the Peychaud's bitters, and I think they're kind of more sweet. They said.
Okay.
And and Angostura or aromatic bitters is more like a baking profile. Like you think of like a pie, you think of like things because of that like the aroma it brings. So like might be a little different, but I mean 5 dashes is not gonna like.
Sure.
Oh, and I used the teaspoon of Lillet, and I say teaspoon. I took the bottle and I just
sure.
So as long as my hand until I could pull it back, it's probably a little bit more than a teaspoon, but whatever.
All right.
Yeah, so that's how I made mine. You want to talk about how you made yours?
Yeah. So
besides the Whistle Pig.
So like you said, I did use Whistle Pig Rye. And then from there, I too made the simple syrup using. So I thought I had a Rooibos tea on hand. I didn't. I used 2. Hey, sorry. Hey, stop.
It's okay.
Stop.
We have dogs, everyone.
Yes, we have.
We're dog people up in the DeGInerate's houses are full of dogs.
Just chill, bro. So okay. So I used a combination of I had 1 black tea bag, and then I had 2 pumpkin spice chai.
What the fuck? Okay.
That's what I had. Everything else was green tea. So that's what I went with. And then
so you got some pumpkin flavor in there, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't use the star anise as well. Now, I'm not like opposed to licorice. But like I didn't necessarily need the licorice profile. So I felt like leaving it out was probably okay. And then I did have a cinnamon stick. I threw that in there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
And then you said you used Lillet or Lillet. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Lillet. I believe it's
French. I used the recipe calls for how do you pronounce it? Susie.
Suze, I don't know. Suze. Suze.
S-U-Z-E?
I don't know actually.
I don't know. Someone can correct us if they're listening. I didn't have that, and I went to the liquor store down here in Charleston, and I don't think I have a good liquor store. They didn't have it either. But I did buy Campari for for another drink
Negroni
that we will be drinking at some point in time.
Right.
And so similar to you, I used I made my simple syrup. I used my my Wisp Pig rye. I did. I already showed you the Heffenweisen that I used.
Yeah, with the naked dude on it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's chick, but
have you tried the beer without mixing it in, or did you pour the whole thing in there?
Well, now
I'm just curious how the beer is.
I'm sure I'll probably drink it on camera at some point in time. You know, I haven't got to it yet, but you know, I'm enjoying this one.
All right, cool.
And then
I kind of want to
I think that's it. And then I also had lemon juice. So Campari, lemon juice, rye, the simple syrup, and the beer. So
yeah,
are we still giving the grades? I haven't been here.
I mean, that's where I was gonna get at. I mean, we still do the grades, but I guess I didn't know if you wanted to like a separate category or a ranking, since this is kind of like a anthology kind of thing. I wouldn't say anthology.
We'll get into what we're doing at some point in
a series.
Time. Yeah, the series.
No, it'll be.
You know,
but like,
so we can do this based on our series, but you know, would you? So could you go through the beer or the drink rankings again?
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah, so 0 to 4, right? Scale. 0 is teardrop mode.
Okay.
All right. So that means you took a sip and you don't want anything else with it. You're done with it.
All right.
Can't finish it. 2 is that you're just taking too long to finish. So like, you know, when you're just nursing a drink because it's just not good, but you feel like you gotta drink. That's 1.
1 is teardrop?
No, 0 is.
Well, you said 0 and then you went to 2.
All right, so 0 I can't count.
Okay.
So 0 is teardrop. 1 is you're taking too long.
Okay.
2 is you did finish it, but it's just not for you.
Okay.
So like probably just like I tried it and that's it.
Okay.
3 is you'll have another round.
Okay.
And 4 is you're going off menu for it.
Okay.
So meaning that you would go to a bar and make sure they can make this drink for you.
Okay.
Like keep it in your pocket ready to order kind of thing.
All right. Based off of the Gin and Sofa rankings, I give it a 3.
Okay. I'm thinking about I'd give it a 3 too. I would say 4. So like we run into this a lot, and a lot of guys, the other guys will try and say like they think about more like how hard it is to find these ingredients. You know, to give it a 4, they'd be afraid to and I don't know if that's something you should take in consideration, or just like I think a 4 is like you don't give a fuck if it takes this guy to go to China and get the tea. I want this damn drink. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's what I think a 4 is. I will
give you $50. Send your runner to.
Yeah, I'm sending you down to Whole Foods or whatever and get some fucking tea. You know, and then so like, but. I think 3. The only reason I'm not giving it a 4 because it is good. I'm not giving it a 4 is because like I think we talk about the sugar content and how it's gonna fuck your head up and make you shit yourself the next morning. That kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then again, that might constitute a 4 because it's like you can't stop drinking it. You know what I mean? Like you almost find yourself hungover every time you drink this drink, kind of thing. And you know, like that kind of stuff.
Damn the rules. Damn what it's going to do to my body. I want this.
It kind of reminds me of POC with those buckets. You're like, this is awful for me. I don't give a shit. I'm drinking 16 Red Bulls tonight and 20 gallons of rum.
Well, you've been a man that's taken care of me after a couple of those buckets, but
yeah, it's not pretty.
Nope.
Wouldn't call it nice.
Yeah. I'm still. Yeah, I'm still sticking with a 3. I don't know. Maybe maybe for me, it's not even like would the bar have this like readily available? It's more just like I I like this. Would I
Mm,
make it again? I might, but like
yeah. I will say, I know you mentioned off recording, off mic, whatever, the tea syrup,
yeah.
and like I might add more bags of tea to give it more like tea flavor, I guess, right?
Seeing if I made this again, like I'm probably not steep in tea. I'm probably just gonna use simple syrup.
Because well, I was gonna get at that. Actually, it's been kind of like I don't. It's not a trend yet, but I have noticed that. Like, so yesterday at Copper Fox, they had a drink that had mint tea
Okay.
in the drink. It was like rye whiskey, mint tea, lemon juice, and something else. And like Brandy got it. Producer Brandy got it, and I took a sip of it, and I was like, it's really good, right? And then a couple weeks ago, I was in Philly with Billy Les and Zane,
Okay.
right? And went to this brunch place, and they had a tea cocktail, gin and like tea syrup and stuff like that, and it was really fucking good. And I'm like, is tea an unlocked flavor profile to cocktails? You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's where we're
does it
trending right
take
now.
it to a different, take it to a different level, if you
I
will?
think that's 2024. Yeah.
A different complexity
Sure.
to instead of just having simple syrup, a citrus, and an alcohol. Like you're like, ooh, because like tea can give you different flavor, different
Sure.
herbal flavors that you can't just get from adding syrup.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm trending down that road. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm just gonna review a lot of martial arts movies eventually, and just all gonna be tea themed drinks.
I think for me, like I maybe I like simplistic, but it's the idea of like how readily, like not even like readily available, but like how kind of easy can you make this drink? And like like sure, like it took to make that tea simple syrup, it took like
man.
40 minutes, to cook it,
Yeah.
boil it down, let it cool off. Like I said previously, like if I did this again, I don't know if I'm spending all that time. I'm probably just adding simple syrup. Um, and I don't know if that's me being lazy or that's me, not appreciating, what. And I can appreciate. We'll probably get into the book's called what, Shaken.
Shaken, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so the funny thing about this book, the book is it's let me grab it. So it is
While you're grabbing it, I'm gonna
Double S-
pour.
yeah, go ahead. It's the 007 official cocktail book. It's Shaken, Drinking with James Bond and Ian Fleming. All right. And the drinks are all made by mixologists that work at the bar Swift
Okay.
in London.
When you were in London, did you go to Swift?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Me, producer Brandy, and Christiago went. It's in Soho. I think they have a second location, but with the one in Soho, which was the original one.
Right.
And like phenomenal drinks. At the time, they had I was hoping they had this book like to pick from to get them like made there,
Right.
like from the source. But they had a different book, and it was cocktails based on like TV and movie characters. Like they had a Bender from Futurama drink. And shit like that, just random ass fucking characters, and they're all pretty good. Like like it's just I talk about it all the time, but like London's they're a different drinking lifestyle, like that kind of they like get paid to be bartenders, so they actually take care of the drinks, kind of thing. Like they're not having to rely on tips because America is a shit show, right? Like they can actually like make their job like a career out of it.
Sure.
So like, but like yeah, great bar, but
Well, then,
yeah, that's the cocktail book we used.
Then something I want to throw in real quick. I don't know how you made your drink, but so the recipe called for a 1.5 ounce pour, and I went with the gin sofa 2 ounce pour.
Okay. Yeah, I just went with the recipe,
Okay.
but maybe I should. Maybe I should have. I don't know.
Well, I think
It is a standard. You're right. It is the standard.
Yeah, but I mean, we've also talked about it. I like my drinks to be a little more boozy.
Right.
So I definitely wasn't going to skimp on that end. So,
No worries.
all right.
So we will rank it as a 3. And as we review more movies and get through the series, we can rank them against each other, kind of thing, and we'll just kind of rank it. 25 of them, top to bottom.
Huh.
So stay tuned. Is that cool with you? Does that sound good?
I love it.
All right. So yeah, guys. So just stick around. We're gonna actually go over Doctor No and have a good, nice little review of it. So catch you in a minute. This is not a normal. I don't want this to be the same old DeGINerate review. Because normally we go like scene by scene and we'll talk about stuff. So this time we're gonna do a little recap and then we're gonna kind of talk about the movie itself. So Mike, go ahead and fill us in on what happens in Doctor No.
Cool. All right. So starts out with there's a rando general. He gets assassinated by 3 blind mice, if you will. And then from there, James Bond gets sent to Jamaica to kind of investigate. He gets down there and he meets up with a guy named Felix from the CIA, and they kind of figure out that whatever is going on is happening from something called a Crab Key Island.
Crab Key.
Crab Key. James Bond eventually makes his way out there. He meets up with the love interest of this film, something called a Honey Rider, if I'm correct. Honey Rider?
Yeah, Honey Rider.
Cool. All right.
You jump fast. Okay.
Well, I mean, everything else is filler, but
yeah.
We can potentially talk about it. But he gets out to the Crab Island. He meets Honey Rider. They get captured by the associates of something called a Dr. No. They meet Dr. No. He is a German, Chinese, I don't know, person that says that he's working with
Spectre.
Yeah, he's working with Spectre. This is the first time. I mean, obviously it's the first movie, but they get into what Spectre is, which do you remember off the top of your head what Spectre stands for? I know it's terrorist.
This handy dandy book. Well,
while you're looking that up, Dr. No talks to James Bond and Honey Rider.
Yeah.
Says he's part of Spectre. Says that they're, Dr. No, the bad guy, is missing his hands, and he's got these metal hands due to, I assume he lost them due to his work in nuclear power.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. Something like that. Yeah. Here, I got it. Okay. Spectre.
Yep.
Spectre stands for Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, and Extortion.
There you go. Yeah.
Special Executive, Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, and yeah. Okay. Yep. So there you go.
So they're not working for a country. They're working for this unit called Spectre, and I say they, but I mean Dr. No. And long story short, Honey Rider and James Bond get separated. James Bond ends up breaking out of his his jail
Prison,
cell,
his cell, yeah.
and then he makes his way to this room in which it looked to me it looked like Spectre was trying to launch like a counter missile to blow up like a spacecraft from the U.S.
Yeah.
going to, I assume, the moon. James Bond is successful in stopping that, and then there is a fight in which Dr. No and James Bond kind of duke it out, and James Bond ends up being triumphant, and Dr. No ends up taking a bath in the waters of a nuclear reactor. And then from there, James Bond, after he beats Dr. No, it looks like the island that they're on is going to blow up. He finds Honey Rider. He's able to get her out of her jail cell, and then they get off the island, and then he's rescued in a boat that ran out of fuel from Felix, and it ends with kind of I thought it was kind of funny, at the end. It ends with James Bond releasing the rope because Felix was towing the boat. He releases it so he can bang Honey Rider. Yeah, so that's your
that's Dr. No.
Yeah, that's Dr. No from a drunk history review.
There you go. So you mentioned a lot of the feel of the movie was James Bond immediately.
Yeah, from the get-go. Like, so my notes, because I took notes while I was watching the movie. It had the kind of what you think of from James Bond. It had the original music. It had the original cutscene of, James Bond walking through, it looks like a scope of a bullet, and he's firing. You and I had talked off air about, like, hey, when does Moneypenny, when does Q, when does M get,
they're all they're pretty much there.
They're all there.
There is I don't think it's Q. I think it's just like Q department. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the only one I think is missing.
So Q is there. And then when we get into the next review, my understanding, and I'll look at my notes, but it's a different Q. But Q sends her quartermaster. And I will say with this movie, so like when we think about Q, and we start talking about like the future movies, Q is kind of notorious with like giving James Bond these like kind of special weapons for whatever tasks that he's handling.
Like gadgets, right?
Yeah, gadgets. I don't remember seeing any gadgets in this movie, but I do remember Q being there. Moneypenny was definitely there. M was definitely there.
Yeah, so I think this is one of the movies where he just kind of gives him like a new gun. He gave him a Walther, right? So I don't think there really was any gadgets, And I think maybe it's just because of the time it was made, the budget, perhaps. Right. But I think it also helped kind of just show like how capable of a spy he was on its own. He didn't need the gadgets and stuff like that. He just kind of like was intuitive and outwitted people.
Well, and so something that we didn't talk about, but in watching these movies, I have been keeping a unofficial track of how many women that he bangs.
Okay.
Um, so
Sure.
they either alluded to or showed that he banged 3 women. So there were 3 bangs in this movie.
Three.
One,
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah, because
Sylvia Trench.
was that the lady that he met at the casino?
Yes.
And then something that I thought was funny, he met the secretary and he knew, like from the get go, he knew that she was spying on him
Mm-hmm.
and he knew that she was setting up a trap for him. But
Yeah.
he banged her anyways, which is like, I mean, this man doesn't care if this lady's
No.
trying to kill him. He's gonna bang you anyways.
Yeah, it's part of the job. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
someone's got to do it. All right.
Sure.
It is what it is. He definitely he didn't get it right. We'll see how. I wonder. I was curious about this, like how it goes, like how many per movie. Like I wonder what's gonna happen. But
me too.
but I think the beginning, they brought the music right away.
Right.
I think the introduction of Bond was really good. Like it's iconic, like he just delivers a line right away.
Right.
And they play the music so he's some kind of badass, like most of the time they introduce a movie and just like this is the guy. He's like Jason Bourne, he's just walking around. But they played the music with him. You knew it was Bond. I thought the blind mice were kind of lame. Assassins.
They never really got into like it wasn't like they really had more of a role other than the fact that they were kind of just they were working for Dr. No.
Right.
They never really like got into like a backstory of them, like and we never saw like their demise. So
They just kind of disappeared.
yeah.
I did what I was gonna say. Like you talk about how he went and banged that chick, knowing it was a trap. I think he did he kind of did the same thing out of the airport. He knew that guy was picking him up and wasn't supposed to be picking him up. He's like, I'll get in the car anyway. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, whatever. It's a trap. I'll just subdue him.
Yeah, because he called the hotel and he said, "Hey, have you sent me a car or something like that?" And they're like, "No, not yet. But do you want a car?" And he's like, "No, that's fine." So he got in there, and it wasn't that one. I remember putting in my notes when he was going out to the secretary's house. There was like a chase scene.
Yeah.
I remember putting in my notes that this was a kind of a silly like chase scene because the car ended up going down a ravine and it just blew up. And, like the car caught on fire, and I was like, "Is this realistic? Probably not." Like it just
I also
down a ravine and then caught on fire.
I guess you could also think about his one-liners, and I thought like this one was really lacking because he's like, the guy was like, "Are they okay?" And he's like, "They were on their way to a funeral."
Yeah,
and that was his quip, and you're like,
and we will get into it as we hit some of the other movies. Definitely when we hit like Roger Moore. Roger Moore, I think, gets a little campy, especially with his one-liners.
Yeah.
Whereas this had a couple of them, but they weren't like kind of that like campy, like silly Bond, like one-liners,
Right. Yeah, you could tell like that was one area that they didn't have fleshed out of his character yet. Like he was one step ahead of most of the people, except maybe Dr. No towards the end. But Like when he went to see the secretary, he knew that it was a trap, and he knew that that dude, that doctor who was um Grant, Doctor Grant, was his
Is
name,
that the
geologist guy, the
yeah,
geologist. He like I guess if you watch it, he knew he was full of shit immediately,
right,
and he was just like waiting on him to like falter, like because like a lot of it was like, oh, what's these rocks? Why does he give a shit? He's like, oh, it's nothing. And he's like, really, like, and I'm like, how does he know? Is that just some kind of James Bond intuition
right,
that he knows he's lying to him? I thought it was funny the chase scene that you're talking about. That's just the product of the time and how they had to film car chases.
right.
Also, when he fights that dude from the airport, it's like they do this thing where they speed up the fighting to make it look more action paced.
Right.
And he like it's so ridiculous sometimes, but
Well, and did you? I don't know if you noted, but did you note the vehicle in this movie?
that he drove or that
Yep.
was existing. I don't think there. I didn't know what it was. It was
Yeah.
definitely not an
So
Aston Martin.
you're right. It wasn't an Aston Martin. It was a blue. It was a Sunbeam Alpine.
Okay, an
Which,
Alpine.
yeah. So Sunbeam was the make, and Alpine was the model. And you know, I always think it's funny these convertible British cars because like
Mhm.
I've never been to England, but my understanding is it rains a lot, but yet they make a lot of convertibles.
Right.
So
I don't know,
um,
man. Maybe when the weather's nice, it's nice. You gotta enjoy
yeah,
it. But I did. They didn't really show what kind of car it was. That is interesting, and I don't even know when he got that car.
he he had talked to the concierge at the hotel, and she said, "Hey,
Mm.
your car's up."
Oh yeah, that's
Your
right.
car
Yeah,
showed up, and she gave him keys.
yeah, you're right. um, let's see. Felix Leiter's in this movie.
Yeah,
I will say it's interesting that they picked Doctor No because it's like the 6th or 7th book, I think, in Ian
right,
Fleming's series. So like that's why I think a lot of things are already established. Which honestly, it kind of worked out because you didn't need to have like a origin story of like his history or whatever. You just like this is Bond. This is like Felix Leiter. That's it. You just need to know he's CIA, he's MI6,
right,
and they're gonna go get a bad dude. And then you don't need to know like he's got a troubled past or, like he's an orphan and stuff like that. It's just so it kind of works out in a favor. And I thought Felix Leiter was kind of in the movie.
I mean, when it comes down to it, so it's funny. I thought this movie overall was relatively enjoyable.
Mm.
But when we start like ranking like the villains, when we start ranking the Bond girls, I don't think they're gonna hold up.
Okay. I mean, do you want to get into that?
Sure, yeah,
I mean, I just you go through the movie, but I mean, like, I was gonna say, okay, we can rank every time he has a sidekick too. We'll start with that because I was gonna get into Quarrel.
is that the fisherman?
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
he was like Felix Leiter's like like partner in crime, I guess you'd say, right? His like
Right.
intel. Uh, I thought he was okay. I think looking back on it, he was definitely just on the movie to die. Like he was
Yeah,
put
me
in the
too.
movie to just get killed. Um, so not a strong showing from the sidekick perspective yet, because I don't even think
Right.
Felix really did anything except save him at the end.
Well, yeah, I thought it was kind of a silly way that, they just kind of like burned a bush and he died,
Yeah, and then Honey Ryder just screams. That's the only reason you know he died. You know,
Right.
that's the only. Boom. I remember watching this the first time I watched it. Honestly, was like in COVID, and me and producer Brandon watched all the movies, and like she was like devastated that Coral died. Because she didn't think he was gonna die, and he just gets lit up like a Christmas tree out of nowhere. And he's like, "Oh, he's done," and then they just move on, and then it's like, "All right, we're good." And I'm like, "She's like, not Coral," and I was like, "Fuck him." But Honey Ryder, is she the Bond girl of the movie? She's often billed as the Bond girl, and I guess you could say she.
Bond girl?
I don't know. Sylvia Trench is the first one he talks to.
I would say she's the Bond girl. I don't know. She was kind of annoying, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was fucking funny as hell. It was like he was like asking her about her school, and she's like, "Well, I have the encyclopedia." I can't remember what letter she said she was on, like L.
I don't remember, but
she was like, "I started at A when I was like 9, and I'm on like L now," and I was like, "That's like not even halfway, bro." Like, yikes. Well, maybe it is halfway, but whatever. And then sometimes she was smart, and then sometimes she was just damsel in distress.
Right.
So I feel like they didn't know what to do with her.
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And of course, we didn't write it, but I feel like maybe at some point it almost felt like they had the end scene written with him in the boat with her, and they're like, "How do we get this girl in the boat with James?" So let's talk about the villain. Since the title of the movie is Dr. No, so it is him. So he's pretty much painted as this mysterious being, I guess, person.
Right.
The whole movie, essentially. They don't really show him until the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, something like
so we're okay. With that in your mind, what did you think of his reveal?
He was all right. I don't think he's going to be, like the biggest villain in this series, but I mean, for the first villain, he was all right.
I thought it was interesting. Watching it, I got very Dr. Evil vibes. In a way, I know but Blofeld is really like a Dr. Evil clone almost, right? By the look of it, but like having the underground base, having the fish around him, having like that, the reactor area looked just like the missile launching in Austin Powers 1. And I was like, is that really what he is? That, and his name's Doctor No, Dr. Evil kind of thing. And I'm like, is that really like it might have been, a little mix between them. So I just kept thinking that, and then they got put in that like cell, and it looked very much like where Austin and Vanessa get put in with the sea bass. I thought it's hard to say because a lot of it is definitely a product of the time. You can only do so much to a guy. You gave him like metal arms or hands, so I think that was his menacing like feature, right? I could just smack the shit out of you.
Right.
I did think it was kind of funny how his method to that Dr. Grant to go kill Bond was to give him a tarantula.
I thought that was silly.
I thought it was, yeah. I remember I read it on Wikipedia also that it was like he took this I guess it's different from the book, right? I want to say in the book they use like a venomous snake. No, it was a centipede. They use a venomous centipede in the book. But they changed it to a non-venomous tarantula in the movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I didn't know what the tarantula. James Bond woke up. There was tarantula climbing on him, and I didn't really see what was so kind of
I mean,
like
I hate
scary
spiders,
about
but I
that?
get that. But at the end of the day, it's just a creepy spider.
Right.
But it's not poisonous. I don't know. And I also find it kind of peculiar that you would rely on an animal to
Right.
do a job like that.
Instead of just having like a hitman or
Or just
something like that.
or that doctor himself. He was gonna come in and shoot him when he was with his secretary. Why didn't he just come in and shoot him in his sleep instead of putting a tarantula near him? Because he had to get close
Right.
to him to put a spider over him. You'd think.
Yeah.
Maybe. So maybe Dr. No isn't as smart as he thinks he is. Is my point.
I I just chalked it up to being a 1960s film.
Yeah, a lot of it is. I think you get to that where you're like, okay, it's a 1960s film. Like the Three Blind Mice being the assassins. I think it's due to the fact that they really didn't have a budget and stuff like that. Like they have three guys with silencers. That's the assassins, and they don't even really try to be sneaky. They walk right up to you and shoot you in the back. I thought, for the fact of the budget being so little, because it was the first movie in the time, they did a pretty good job of Doctor No's lair. I thought.
Yeah, and again, I thought they did a good enough job with this being the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
They really established a lot of like Bond isms.
Yeah, yeah,
That we've come to know and love.
yeah.
So
They took an exorbitant amount of time to decontaminate them. I felt.
right.
They came into the area and then they kept reading like she's 82, whatever, whatever they want to say. 82 what? Curies, bro, like Rankin, fucking Rankin or some shit. And then it'd be like, now she's 81, now she's 67, now she's 8, now she's like, I just need to know when she's clean, bro. Move the scene on, brother.
Yeah.
He has dinner with Bond. So there's a lot of the trope of like, no matter how menacing this villain is in any of the movies, they always seem to be like intrigued by James. Like they want to have a dinner,
Right.
They want to have a conversation, you want to play poker against him. It's a weird thing. They're like, you're impressive. I want to know why, but he also has that comment like, you're not as impressive as I thought you would be, or something like that, which kind of just shows that he has a reputation already. Like Bond is, people know who he is, kind of thing.
Right.
And then I think once he escapes to the, he makes funny remarks like that's a Dom Perignon 55. I wouldn't break that. It's an expensive weapon. He's like, I prefer to 53 myself, which is like, little good quip, little things of like, I'm a man of fine taste or some shit, And I like that they gave Connery some little things like that. I do think that the end fight was pretty good in the reactor pool area for the time.
Sure.
You didn't think so?
Well, I mean, we'll get into these like when the series progresses, like these really big, like extravagant fights, like what Bond threw a couple punches, and ultimately, Dr. No ended up in
the pool,
the reactor pool.
I think. Well, it was kind of that. It was kind of oh, you can hear that? Sorry. It was kind of funny that they thought all the way through with him having the metal hands that he couldn't climb back up out of the pool. I was like, okay, it's kind of clever. They thought about a way to kill him that was like believable in a way. You couldn't climb, and then I do think it's kind of interesting that this is the first movie, so the first villain, and he's not the typical villain. Jesus, all right, and not the typical villain that wants to like take over the world domination, things like that. He's just a dude that wants to intercept the space missile they're sending up.
Is that not him trying to take over the world?
I don't think so, because I think it's like I think it's inherently it must be because wherever he's ranking is in like Spectre. I think that's what it is. I think he was just a general inspector, and this was his mission.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi.
Um,
Can you step out right now?
What you doing?
we can finish up soon. Yeah. Because I think we're talking about the climatic battle, and then we can, yeah. And I think like he was like, maybe it was just his job to interrupt. Because I read that this is during a space race kind of time, right? And I guess this was the time when America was kind of faltering a little bit behind, and so this was kind of played on the fact that, oh, what if it was Spectre that was interrupting them or something like that,
Right.
And it is just kind of a breath of fresh air instead of having like Blofeld or Lashif just trying to like take over the world, like the bad guys of the future, like fucking Alec Trevelyan, just I hate England, like and like just vengeful quest. He had like a mission, and he had a reactor for it. But like, so I thought that was cool. I thought the fact that he had they built that structure up for the reactor was pretty neat. I don't think he was a terrible villain. I think what we could do is every movie after this rank it with the one before and see if they regress or regress kind of thing. Because I think he was pretty good as a villain.
I think it was good enough for the first Bond villain. I just think as the series progresses, he's not going to hold up to some of the iconic ones.
We'll see. So, in wrapping, I guess, and whatever I'm going to call that, full circle. I don't know if you want to give it a movie rating, like the cocktail rating, or you want to just kind of like give it a, 3 guns. I don't know, like how many guns out of 5, or
I mean,
and then we can rank them amongst each other, or like.
I would give this. Yeah, I'll just say 3 guns out of 5.
So just like right down the middle, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it 4. And I'm gonna say because I think if this was a failure, there wouldn't be a Bond franchise right now. If that made
I would agree
and I
with
think it was as well polished as it is. As well polished as it is, it made people interested. It made like production companies wanna.
Right.
Because if you read about it From Russia with Love, they rushed that production because this one was so good. Now we'll get into the movie itself when we get to it, but you know what I mean. Like, but so I'm gonna give it a 4. Yeah.
Right.
So that's gonna be we're gonna go. That's bonding with Bond. First episode, wrapped and complete.
Wonderful.
We hope you guys enjoyed it. Give us some feedback. Let us know. Maybe there's some things you want to hear about with the movies. Maybe some trivia, something like little known facts. More review, more rankings. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry, my phone is going off like a fucking Christmas tree right now. And we'll try and get these out as soon as we can. I know there's a lot of movies, and we'll keep it going, and we listen. So just hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on YouTube. We don't know if this video will be up there because equipment issues, technical difficulties, as Gin and Sofa difficulties always is. Any last words, Mike?
No.
Go throw up again, there, bud. Jeez. Do you think it's the bourbon?
I have no idea.
All right, guys. DeGINerates, Gin and Sofa.